Marcus Chen stood in the center of the crystalline arena, surrounded by towering alien spectators whose bioluminescent skin pulsed with anticipation. The Vorthak testing chamber hummed with energy, its walls lined with sensors that could measure everything from bone density to neural activity. What they couldn't measure, however, was the quiet determination burning in Marcus's brown eyes. The lead examiner, a mantis-like creature called Zixthara, consulted her data tablet with 4 delicate appendages. Subject 7749 human demonstrates suboptimal physical parameters, she announced in her clicking translated voice. Muscle density, 47% below Vorthak standard. Bone thickness, insufficient for combat protocols. Reaction speed, adequate but unremarkable. Marcus flexed his fingers, feeling the familiar ache in his left shoulder, a souvenir from the mining accident that had claimed his father's life back on Kepler 442b. The same accident that had taught him that survival wasn't about being the strongest. It was about being the most stubborn. However, Zixthara continued, genetic analysis indicates unusual adaptability markers. Subject approved for Survival Protocol 7. The arena floor began to shift and transform. What had been smooth crystal became a hellish landscape of jagged rocks, toxic pools, and predatory flora that snapped at the air with metallic teeth. Temperature readings on the walls showed a steady climb toward lethal levels. Initiating Phase 1, announced the automated system. 3 mechanical constructs emerged from hidden panels, sleek, deadly machines designed to hunt and kill. Each stood twice Marcus's height, armed with plasma cutters and neural disruptors. In the observation deck above, alien dignitaries leaned forward, expecting a quick elimination. The first construct lunged with mechanical precision. Marcus didn't try to match its strength or speed. Instead, he did what humans do best: he adapted. Rolling beneath the sweeping plasma cutter, he grabbed a chunk of crystalline debris and hurled it at the construct's optical sensors. The machine stumbled, temporarily blinded, giving Marcus precious seconds to assess his environment. The second construct flanked him from the left, but Marcus was already moving, using the uneven terrain to his advantage. He leaped between floating rock platforms, each step calculated not for grace, but for survival. When the construct's neural disruptor missed him by inches, Marcus grabbed a handful of the toxic moss that grew on the arena walls and smeared it across the machine's intake vents. Fascinating, murmured Zixthara. Subject ignores conventional combat parameters. The third construct attacked with coordinated precision, herding Marcus toward a pool of acid. But Marcus had spent 18 years in the underground tunnels of a dying colony world, where every shadow could hide a cave-in and every breath might be your last. He understood something the construct's programming didn't. Sometimes the only way out was through. Marcus sprinted directly at the acid pool and dove, not into it, but using a half-submerged metal beam as a springboard. The construct, following its targeting protocols, couldn't adjust quickly enough. Marcus landed on its back, tearing at its power couplings with hands that had rebuilt atmospheric processors and held dying men in collapsed mines. One by one, the constructs fell, not to superior strength, but to human ingenuity born of desperate necessity. Phase 2 initiating, the system announced emotionlessly. The arena flooded with neurotoxic gas while gravitational fields shifted randomly, sending debris flying in impossible directions. The temperature continued climbing toward levels that would boil human blood. Marcus wrapped his shirt around his face and began calculating air currents. His lungs burned, his vision blurred, but his mind remained sharp. He'd survived the atmosphere processors failing on 3 different occasions. He'd lived through the Great Famine when the crop ships didn't arrive. He'd crawled through wreckage to save his little sister when the northern sector collapsed. Using the gravitational anomalies to his advantage, Marcus surfed debris fields like a 3-dimensional ocean, conserving oxygen and energy. When the heat became unbearable, he found pockets of cooler air near the arena's cooling vents. When the neurotoxins threatened to overwhelm him, he slowed his breathing and focused on the one thing that had kept him alive through everything else: the absolute refusal to quit. In the observation deck, the alien spectators had fallen silent. Their measuring devices showed Marcus's vital signs approaching critical levels, yet he continued to move, to adapt, to survive. His strength parameters remain unchanged, noted Zixthara's assistant, a gelatinous being whose voice rippled like water. How does he continue? Zixthara's compound eyes fixed on Marcus as he fashioned a primitive breathing apparatus from arena debris and his own shoelaces. We measured incorrectly, she said quietly. We quantified his physical strength but ignored his survival coefficient. Phase 3 brought carnivorous plants that erupted from the arena floor, their roots seeking warm blood. Marcus didn't fight them. He diverted them, using pieces of the destroyed constructs as decoys while he maneuvered through their nest like he was navigating a collapsed mine shaft. When the final challenge emerged, a massive creature that was part machine, part biological nightmare, Marcus was ready. Not with strength or speed, but with knowledge earned through pain and powered by the fundamental human truth that giving up was never an option. He didn't kill the creature. Instead, he found its cooling system and redirected the arena's toxic atmosphere into its intake valves. The beast fell not to violence, but to the same ingenuity that had kept humanity alive on 1,000 hostile worlds. As the arena powered down and the spectators sat in stunned silence, Marcus collapsed to his knees, breathing hard but alive. His body was at its limits, but his spirit remained unbroken. Zixthara descended to the arena floor, her bioluminescent skin pulsing with something that might have been respect. "We measured your strength, human Marcus Chen," she said. "But we failed to measure your survival." Marcus looked up at her, his eyes still burning with that quiet fire. "That's because you can't measure stubbornness," he said. "And that's all survival really is, being too stubborn to die." In the observation deck, alien species who had conquered star systems through superior firepower began to recalculate their assessments of humanity. They had measured human strength and found it wanting. But they had forgotten that humans didn't measure themselves in strength. They measured themselves in survival, and they had been surviving for a very long time.